Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Leadership Void podcast. I'm Enrique with my co host Vince to bring you the best in our veteran, military spouse, and first responder community. And Vince will introduce today's guest.
Thanks, Enrique. All the way from upstate New York, we have Corey Christman. He is the owner of Bravery Wines, LLC. We are so grateful to have you here. Corey, let's start off. Tell us a little bit about you.
It's great to be with you guys. Thanks for having me. Spent a lot of time listening to your episodes and couldn't be more grateful to be here with you. As Vince, as you mentioned, grew up in upstate New York along the shores of Lake Ontario. Most may not know we have a wine region here called the Finger Lakes wine region of upstate New York. We have just a ton of great wineries, breweries, and restaurants. And I spent most of my adult life in the Air Force. I retired in 2012, and I started my professional winemaking career in 2014. We launched Bravery Wines on Veterans Day in 2020, and couldn't be more excited for the future.
Well, what a great day to launch Bravery Wines. And I don't know if you noticed, but me and Vince are wearing some wine color shirts
Yes,
because we're
sir.
talking about this wine thing. Corey, it's amazing, what we can do post service. I'm so glad that you went after your passion and what you're looking to do for the future in terms of business. Now, tell us a little bit more about Bravery Wines.
Yeah, when I retired, I had the opportunity to fly out to Napa, and as many people know, Napa, California, it tends to be a pretty wild place when it comes to wine. A lot of vacations and a lot of wine lovers go there. But I met up with another veteran winemaker, and I just really was trying to find my path, find my way, and he was more than willing to help me relocate to that area. But my passion has always been in New York State. So I kind of reached out with aimlessly in 2014. I had never been in the professional winemaking capacity, but some people took me under their wing, and they created an opportunity for me. And I've been working with the winery called Anthony Road Wine Company since 2014. So sometimes as veterans, we don't always like to ask for help, but in this case, I did. It worked out, and I couldn't be more blessed for where we are today.
Well, we're blessed to have a great veteran doing some great things in upstate New York, not the Napa Valley of the world, the upstate New York of the world, which we're going to have to go do a tour hopefully one of these years.
Yeah, I'd love to have you all.
Awesome. Started out Veterans Day 2020, in the mix of the pandemic. So what lessons did you all learn or help you influence your company post-pandemic?
Yeah, we were pretty, I guess you could use the word scared. We had anticipated launching on Memorial Day of 2020, and the uncertainty of the pandemic, the wine world, and actually the hospitality world had changed drastically during that time frame, meaning we weren't able to have visitors into the winery. We weren't able to sell wines in the traditional way. But when it came down to Veterans Day, we just had to step out into the unknown and rely on our business practices, rely on some faith. We did a lot of homework. We were prepared, and we felt, I don't want to say confident, but we felt fairly sure that everything we had done up until that point was the way it should be done. We're ready. And so obviously Veterans Day means the world to my wife and I for obvious reasons. And we flipped the switch and didn't look back. So, and it worked out. It worked out. We had a great support from around the country since that time frame.
Well, we're so glad that you did branch out. This morning I was having a conversation and I told the individual there comes a time where 80% has to be good enough, right? You got to be able to say, look, we got enough knowledge, we got enough resources to get this thing down the road, and maybe you pick up momentum, right? So
Yeah.
happy that you guys chose to go ahead and with what you had and the knowledge and the bravery, no pun intended,
Yeah.
to launch during a pandemic and get down the road. So what's what's the future look like for Bravery Wines now?
Well, we when we launched in 2020, we launched with about 400 cases. And in wine terminology, wine speak, that's a minute amount. Most of the wineries in the Finger Lakes region are producing, 10 to 20 to 30,000 cases per year. For us, we did it as what you would consider to be a test, kind of a business test, a branding test, and we're still exploring opportunities with the brand itself. The wine portion of the business, we're looking to continue to expand. We've been fortunate, like I mentioned, we've had great response from, the basic wine consumer, somebody that doesn't, necessarily love wine, but they like wine. Then we've had people like that versus people who are wine professionals. They travel to wine regions around the world. So we've gotten feedback from a positive nature for many different kinds of people and wine lovers, and so that's given us the momentum and the positivity to move forward. And so that's what our goal is, to continue to grow the brand and produce more wines in a methodical and a planned, method.
Absolutely. And hopefully we will see it on the shelves at our local stores in the near future.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
Definitely. So talk about wine. Let's mix it up with a little bit of leadership. So
Yes, sir.
Corey, what do you do, Corey, on your spare time that aids you to thrive in your professional life?
Well, when I retired, I was kind of doing numerous things, as some of veterans might, kind of, they might agree with. We don't, in the military, we seemingly don't always get away with doing one task or one job. And when I retired, I just kept that process going. So I was a professor at the University of Pittsburgh for a little while, taught leadership and ethics there. I also had a small entrepreneurial endeavor business where I was teaching behavioral analysis and working with companies on how to hire the best employees behaviorally. So for me, leadership has been something that I've been working on since I was 18 and a half years old. I don't think we ever end that journey. I was given a presentation the other day and told folks, I showed them one of the few pictures I have when I was in uniform. And I said that picture was taken 20 years ago. And by that time, I had been leading teams already for 10 years. And I share that with you not as looking for a kudo, but to let you know that our leadership journey is never ending. So they were like, you look different back then. I said, yeah, it tends to happen. So
And talking about leadership and teaching, we have a great background in leadership. The military affords us that, as you mentioned, 18 and a half, right? And some
yeah,
even younger than that, because there's different timelines of coming into service. But leadership definitely is a part of our DNA as we go through the ranks and into retirement. So there's a lot of time there. You said 20 years, right? And then,
yeah.
another 10 after that. What advice did you receive that you would like to pass on to an emerging leader that's listening today?
Well, I think one of the biggest recommendations I could offer is, first of all, the concept of self-awareness. Uh, I think as military leaders, as people, whether you spend 4 years in the military or 30 plus, I think we can always benefit from continually self evaluating where we are. And I think, especially when you're in a transition period or if you're an emerging leadership position, I think reaching out and seeking help. Social media and the avenues that we have nowadays have never been easier to reach out and ask for help. I wish I would get more people asking me for help on LinkedIn than I did people trying to sell me something, right? I think there's such an opportunity for, you know, things like LinkedIn and Veterati and other platforms where veterans or emerging leaders, they would just reach out and ask for help. Man, they'd be very surprised with the response they would get. I tell people I'm batting 100%, meaning every time I've asked for help from someone, I've always gotten a response. So one of the key things I would say is be humble, be self-aware, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Great trio right there. Be humble, be self-aware, and don't be afraid to ask for help. And to your point, we do get more requests on LinkedIn versus requests to get assistance or ask. So definitely, people, if you're hearing this, ask for help. I hope you do.
Yeah.
So Corey, what has been your most memorable leadership aha moment you have encountered?
Yeah, I think my most memorable aha moment happened when I was teaching at the University of Pittsburgh. And, as I'd been a military instructor, but I'd never been a quote unquote teacher. And so I initially went into it with the mindset as a military instructor, meaning, you tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and you tell them what you told them, right? The three-step communication process. And what I learned very quickly with people, not everybody, that didn't resonate with all of the students I was working with. So that was kind of lesson one. Lesson two is at the end of the semester, I had a student that, I taught in this auditorium that kind of had a stair steps out to the top, and one of the students was coming down, and he had tears coming down his eyes, and I had never, this was foreign to me. Didn't know what to think. I wasn't sure. Did something happen? Was he hurt? I didn't know. And he looked me in the eyes, and he stuck out his hand, and he said, you're the first professor of my entire career who I feel has given me my money's worth as an instructor, as a professor. This is the first class that I feel as if I have received the value that I hope to receive in college. And I was blown away. But so I share that again, not as a kudo, but I share that with you as the positivity we can have by surrounding ourselves and by investing in others. We never truly know. That was just one example. The young man came down and shared those thoughts, and it blew me away. It really did.
So. What a moment, as facilitators and instructors that we all are and have been, right, to get that type of response is amazing. And you touched a life, you changed the life. They saw it, they felt it, and it came out, and an emotional burst there. But that's the power of change. And talking about change, you went into this thing 2020. What a period to go into anything. But you had positive influences and resources to get you there. So talking about change and challenges, what kind of strategy do you use with your team or with yourself that help you go through those periods of change and challenges?
Well, I think one of the changes not is many folks aren't fond of change, as we all know. Some people flat out resist it, right? To use the car analogy, they want to stand on the brake pedal more than they do the gas pedal. I think for what the military taught me, is to try to anticipate change, but also understand that you might plan, you might forecast, you might anticipate, and all those efforts and plans go right out the window. I think it's recognizing that change is around us; it's everywhere. If we can plan for it, great. Let's do our best to do so. But in the end, know that change is coming, and we try to build secondary plans and tertiary plans. But in the end, change is going to happen. If we plan for it, we can lessen the impacts if it's a negative part of change. But the reality is it's not the change that necessarily is most impactful. It's how we act or react to it. So I'm a big proponent of action over reaction. So,
ladies and gentlemen, you heard it first from Corey here about reaction and action. So we have Corey Christman, who is the owner and founder of Bravery Wines. So folks listening in, why not get a hold of those wonderful bottles of wines, get a tour, or ask you a question? How do they go about doing so, Corey?
well, the easiest way is just to follow us on social media. We're at Bravery Wines. It's most all places. We even created a TikTok account recently. So I was told we're getting with the times. So apparently I was behind the times last week. We now have a TikTok account. But so Bravery Wines on all social media. Our website is bravery.wine instead of .com. So bravery.wine. And then if anybody wants to reach out to me, they can hit me up on LinkedIn. Or my email at the winery is just Corey, Corey, at bravery.wine.
Outstanding, folks. And we'll have that as part of the show notes so that you can reach out to Corey and his team and get a nice bottle of maybe a red. I don't know. A white. I don't know. But it'll all be available, whether you want to ask him questions, contact the brewery, or better yet, get a bottle, right? So if you want to get a hold of the Leadership Void podcast, the leadershipvoid at gmail.com is where you will send that inquiry or correspondence. Vince and I will curate it and take appropriate action. How about that? Huh? But it's good to have you on the show with us today, Corey. Thank you for what you're doing in the wine business, because I know there are very few veterans in the wine industry, and you are going into that with a lot of bravery, and thank you for doing so.
Yeah, thank you both for having us. The one thing I didn't mention that might be beneficial for your followers is every time that we sell a bottle of wine, we set aside $2.50 from the purchase price, and we support veteran, first responder, and military charities. Last year, in our first year of operation, we sent $5,000 to an organization called the Yellow Ribbon Fund. So we're passionate about making wine, but we're also passionate about paying respect and honoring those who serve.
Absolutely. We'll definitely want folks to know that this gentleman right here gives back from the proceeds of the wines he sells. So you are contributing not only to Bravery Wines, you also contribute to a great nonprofit of military or first responders. Again, Corey, it's been a pleasure. And other folks, listen, we also had to do something great on the 1st and the 15th of every month called Radio Check. We check in on our brothers and sisters of arms, both military and first responder, 1900, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, LinkedIn Live. Catch us there. You get a hoot, you get some resources, you get to share some great commonalities and common ground. So what camaraderie is all about, but it's all today about Bravery Wines and Corey Christman. So thank you again from upstate New York. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.